Hi, this is English Time with AIOS. My name's Alex Linville. I'm the director of the American Institute of Studies. And today we're going to look at government in America. We'll look at some vocabulary, but mostly we'll look at how government is set up in the United States. If you've been watching the news, you know that there's an election coming up very soon. In fact, it's on November 6th. An election means when people vote for who they want to be their leader. We call this politics. Politics is the leaders of the government. Now, in America, it's very different from Thailand. In Thailand, you have many political parties, many different groups of people, all wanting to be the leaders. In America, we have only two. We have the Republicans and the Democrats. That's why it's called a two-party system. Now, this party doesn't mean having a good time. This party means a group of people coming together that share similar ideas and have the same vision. So, for this election, we have the current president, Barack Obama, who is a Democrat. He will be competing against, in English we say running against, Mitt Romney, who will be the Republican. Now in America, the Republicans are red and the Democrats are blue. These are the colors they always use. Barack Obama has a background as a lawyer and also worked as a professor. Mitt Romney, on the other hand, is more of a businessman. He was a consultant and worked for a large company that bought and sold other businesses. Now you might wonder, besides their history, what is different about these two people? Well, the difference is really the difference between the Republicans and the Democrats. What do they believe differently? What do they want for America? The Republicans are always more about the military. They want more wars usually. They are more interested in sending soldiers overseas. They're more interested in starting fights. Democrats, on the other hand, want less military. They are not interested in going to war. They typically are very hesitant to send soldiers overseas. The Republicans tend to have more interest in less taxes for the rich. They think that rich people should be able to keep more of the money that they make. Democrats, on the other hand, want more taxes for the rich. If you make a lot of money, they think you should pay more to society, give more to the government so they can use that money for good causes like education, clean water, clean air. And the next point, more welfare. Democrats are interested in giving more money to not just poor people, but students, to older people. Welfare means when the government gives money to ordinary people for them to buy food, education, for them to be able to provide for their families. Republicans tend to want less welfare. They don't think this is a good use of money, that often students, old people, poor people, they should go out and make their own money. They shouldn't count on the government to give it to them. So those are just some of the difference. There's many. Republicans tend to like guns more. Democrats tend to not like guns. There's differences about their views on gay marriage. Democrats tend to support gays being able to get married. Republicans are against it. So if you're interested, I recommend you go to some websites and look at the differences between the Republicans and Democrats. Maybe even you feel like you can make a choice. If you lived in America, what side would you be? So anyway, for the election coming up in 2013, we say, even though the election is November 6th, we call it the election of 2013. Why is that? Because none of the new leaders will become in government until January of 2013. So even though we vote this year, nobody changes until 2013. And it's not only the president we'll be voting for. There's many other government positions. We have governors, They're the leader of each state. How many states are there in America? There's 50. So that means there's 50 governors. We also have senators. Each state has 2 senators, no matter if it's a big state or a little state. A state like Alaska, with very few people, has the same senators as California, which has a huge population. Representatives, on the other hand, are based on population. California has many representatives, while Alaska has very few. We also have mayors. Mayors are the leader of a city. So just like president leads the country, governor leads the state, the mayor leads the city. And we'll be voting for all these people on November 6th. So let's take a look a little bit more about what will happen on November 6th. We will have the president we vote for, people in the Senate, people in the House of Representatives. You'll remember those words here, senator and representative. So the president is the leader of the national government. Below him is the vice president. He takes over if the president dies or is in some way not able to lead the country. He will immediately become the new president. The president doesn't actually make any laws. He only signs his name. The people making the laws are in Congress. And we have 2 houses of Congress, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Because there's 50 states, and each state has 2 senators, there's 100 senators. Now the House of Representatives, there's 435. This number was chosen 100 years ago and will never change. There will always be 435 representatives based on population. Senators get to keep their job for 6 years, so they don't actually have elections very often. But the House of Representatives, they have to come up for election every 2 years. So you see their name in the election very often. Now, let's take a look at how the president will actually be chosen. He's the only one that gets chosen through the Electoral College. This is an important word. It's an idea that's very old and comes from the idea that people should not vote for their president directly. The country was set up this way a long time ago. It doesn't have anything to do with university or a college. It has to do with the number of votes. So if you watch the news on the night of November 6th, the news people will not be talking about individuals, Americans voting. They'll be talking about electoral votes. There are 538 electoral votes. Where does this number come from? It comes from 100 senators plus 435 representatives. That makes 535. So where are the extra 3? Washington, D.C., the capital of America, gets 3 extra votes, making it 538. So how does this work? Well, it's a winner-takes-all system. What does that mean? It means each state gets its own number of electoral votes based on senators and representatives. So let's look at the largest. California, with the most number of people, gets 55 electoral votes. So whoever wins California gets 55 votes, even if they only win by 1 vote from the people. They still get all the votes. It's a winner-takes-all system. Texas is the next state with 38 votes. And then New York and Florida are tied. They each have 29. So this system, some people like it, some people don't. It causes a lot of confusion. In fact, in the year 2000, just 12 years ago, George Bush, the Republican, was fighting against Al Gore. They were running against each other. Al Gore, he won the popular vote, meaning he won the most number of votes from American people. But again, that doesn't make any difference. It's about the Electoral College. And everything came down to one state, Florida. Florida was the state that would decide the next president of the United States. And it was very close. Even though George Bush had less votes from the people all over America, he did have a few more votes in the state of Florida. In fact, they counted again and again to make sure. So he won the presidency because he won the state of Florida, a winner-takes-all system. So I hope this has been useful for you to understand a little bit about American politics and government. I hope you watch the election on November 6th and find out who will be the next president. We'll also have new governors, new senators, new representatives, and new mayors. So, this has been English Time with AIOS. Again, my name's Alex Linville, and I hope you enjoy learning more about politics and government in the United States.